bubbling up inside of me was this idea about spiritual freedom. And I thought about that, and I started to think about how we look at this amazing picture and we see the outer expression of this freedom. And you look at the fireworks going off and everybody's celebrating this light that's happening inside of us. But what I'm talking about when I think about spiritual freedom is the real freedom that is also a part of this practice. And what I mean by that is when you come into this space, my hope and desire for each and every one of you is that all of a sudden you start to realize, well, there's this thing, this freedom that he's talking about, and there's things that you can actually do that will help you come into full alignment with your own divinity. And then you can sit there and practice these things, but it becomes, honestly, a way of life. How many people know exactly what I'm talking about? Good. There's a few of you. Glad to see that. But it's this idea that we actually live this thing. Like, we have decided to make it a part of our life. We've decided to make it a part of who and what we are. This isn't something that, well, I do occasionally on Sundays when I show up on a Sunday morning. No, this is pretty much a 24/7 thing. That's what's really happening. It's a 24/7 thing. It's something that I am going to let the divine work through me, and I'm going to show up, and when the energy starts to flow through me and there's stuff that I need to laugh about and have fun about, I can do that. But I can also feel the energy coming through me when I know it's time for me to do some healing, and I can do that as well. And like Tim was saying, it's like you don't look at it anymore like, oh my God, what is happening? You actually look at it and think to yourself, ooh, what is here and now? So this idea or this thought of spiritual freedom is the going within. And when you start to go within, then that's where the game starts to become really fun. Because you're no longer denying what's going on inside of you. You're not. And spoiler alert, it's not all going to be pretty. And it's not all going to be fun. But the only thing that I can share with you is if you'll stay at it, and you keep doing the work, and you keep doing what it is that you're being called to do for your own healing journey, there is another side to it. There's another side to it. In other words, we don't stay stuck, whatever it is that is ours to work through. And with that comes the freedom. And that's a freedom that we long for. It's this deep, soul-level freedom. It's not something we find out there. It's not. It's not out there. It's never been out there. It's right here. And it's not dependent. This freedom I'm talking about is not depending on what's going on out there. In other words, you can still have your experience of freedom and be inside so that when no matter what's happening out there, you can go here and you still have that freedom, that peace, the calmness, no matter what storms are raging out there. No matter who is approving you or not approving of you, no matter what is being said or what isn't being said, no matter what's in the newspapers and what's not in the newspapers, you have created a space within your soul that is untouchable, cannot be touched. That's what's inside of you. That's what's there, right? And the thing that gives us that in unity, we speak about it, we call it the indwelling Christ. It's a Christ within. It's a Christ that all of us have. This wasn't something that was just given to Jesus. I know a lot of people believe that. That's okay. But my belief, Unity's belief certainly, is that we all have that seed within us. And it's literally a whole entirely different operating system. It is. You're switching from the egoic operating system into the Christ operating system. And it's as real as we're standing here. It's as real as we are standing here. And we understand that this Christ peace, not as a person, although we love Jesus, but actually a presence, this idea or thought that God is inside of all of us. Here and now, there is no separation. And that this Christ this indwelling Christ is our true nature. And I know everything out there tries to tell us, well, no, you're not there. You're not that. You can't be that. But what I'm telling you, what Unity's been trying to tell you for 125 years is, oh, yes, you are. Oh, yes, you are. And if I was going to say it's one of the primary things that we do here is just remind each other of that. Who and what you are is a beautiful reflection of the divine because that is your nature. It's all of our nature. It's not something that you become, it's something that you simply are. And then it's a process of remembering that. In Lessons in Truth, Emily Cady talks about that, and she wrote, Christ is the name of the indwelling spiritual principle in every human. Jesus of Nazareth was a special manifestation of this principle, and the same Christ that was in him is within us. Beautiful words. Spot on. Absolutely perfect. And the more that we align with this truth, which is the practice, the more we access our own spiritual truth, our own spiritual freedom. It's there because you're already free. We just kind of forgot for a while. And I actually think the truth is that was part of the setup. We all agreed to that. We all agreed to it. But I also believe that we all chose this lifetime, for many of us, to wake up. And that no matter what your journey or path looks like, no matter what horrific things happen to you, and I know for some of us, for a lot of us, we went through some pretty hard things, didn't we? Everybody go, yes. Everybody say yes. Yes, we did. And even if your journey was light, well, then good for you. Good. I'm glad it was light for you. But for some of us, it hasn't been easy. But yet, on the other side of that healing, the power it took to get through that healing, do you understand that? The power that it took for you to go through what you went through, the power that you had to pull up from within yourself to heal was the power that you needed in order for you to stand in the light that you're standing in now. Do you get that? So we look at healing, we look at all the things that happened to us and we go, oh my God, that was horrible, that was terrible. Look at all the stuff that I did. It caused you to generate within yourself the power that you needed to stand in the space that you're standing in now. And therefore, if anything, you can then look at that and think to yourself, oh, so I don't have to judge myself. I don't have to blame myself. I don't have to shame myself. So in other words, everything that I did, no matter how ugly it looked, at the time, it was exactly what you needed to go through. Whoa, really? Yeah, that's the game. But we forgot that, right? We forgot. We actually were sitting there thinking, oh, well, yeah, but Mike, I had to go through this, and I went through this, and I went through that. But then it looked like this, and then I forgot, and then I screwed this up, and I did this wrong. And I'm like, yeah, okay. But then I got closer. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Lots of tears, lots of pain, lots of stuff. Yeah, I know, right? But every single time that you did that, more power, more strength, more power, more strength, allowing you to figure out what you needed to do to hold the space for your divinity now. It was perfect, absolutely perfect in terms of the plan that you made before you came down here. And when we can look at it like that, then all of a sudden you start to think to yourself, whoa. So in other words, I can now stand in my full power and have a whole heck of a lot of fun. Yeah. How many people are noticing that as you heal, life is becoming just a little bit better, just a little bit smoother, just allowing you to breathe a little bit more. That's light, folks. That's what divinity is. That's it. I think sometimes we think of the stories in Jesus when we think about him walking on water. It's like, hey, that was a cool trick. Like, really cool. But that's not what it always looks like. Do you understand the magic of the divinity that's in you? Do you understand the power that's there by just a simple act of giving somebody a hug? Or just holding somebody when they're having a hard time or a bad day? That is as powerful, as magnificent, as incredibly awesome as, yeah, Jesus walking on water, or feeding the 5,000, or. But didn't Jesus say, "This and far greater things ye shall do"? It's my favorite Bible quote. He did. But I think sometimes what happens is we sit in our mind and we think, well, it needs to look like this. I got to be able to walk on the water. I got to be able to feed the 5,000. And if I can't do that, then who really am I? Oh my God. But we all do it. I know you do it. Why? Because I'm you and I do it. Right? So we're all walking around and sitting there thinking, oh, it should look like this. No, it shouldn't. It should look just like you look right now. That's what it should look like. And you have the ability to do that every single day you're alive. The question is, are you able to slow down enough to realize it? I was sitting at the retreat over the weekend. I live on this land. To me, this land is magic. It's special, very special. And we took a break, and I walked outside, and the sun happened to be setting. And it was like one of those moments where it's like, how could I ever complain, be sad, be mad? How could I do that? As I'm watching the sun dance between the pine trees and them literally singing to me to help me remember who and what I am. It was a moment that I will never forget for my entire life. And it just made me remember, number one, how grateful I am for this beautiful land that we sit on. How nature can hold you if you will let it hold you, and the blessings and the gifts that we're all given. It was a powerful moment. And I just sat there and I sobbed. I'm going like, well, what do I do now? And it's like, go hug a tree. I'm like, okay, I'll go hug a tree. And the next thing you know, I'm hugging a tree, bawling for about 10 or 15 minutes. Why? Because I think sometimes it takes a moment like that. I think sometimes we really do get it. Really. And then we realize the only thing that matters is love. And that when we slow down enough and can feel that enough, and we can let it come to us in all the ways that it can come to us, and you get out of your head and get into your heart and feel. And all of a sudden it was just like, how could I possibly ever miss one of these sunsets? How? I can't. To me, this is the epitome of spiritual freedom. To be able to feel the love of God inside of your heart in a moment's notice. When you're just hanging out being you, maybe somebody's with you, maybe somebody's not. I got 30 other people that are around me doing some kind of a dance or something else they got going on. I didn't care. Love will start to show up for you in ways that I can't even begin to tell you. To me, there is no greater freedom than that. Letting yourself dance in that. Letting yourself and giving yourself permission. Letting yourself know that you're worthy enough to receive it, regardless of anything else like that. Because remember, your past was absolutely everything that you needed in order for you to stand in the space here now. It's perfect. You are perfect. The perfect expression of the divine, sitting in front of all of us right now. Being who and what you are is one of the greatest gifts you could have ever give us. You're pretty amazing. You're pretty incredible. Really. Yeah, you are. Yeah. Like this is really happening. And the more we continue to come together, and the more we continue to do what we do, to do our work, and even when we feel stuck, we still show up, we still talk, and sometimes you're going to need a hug, and sometimes you're going to want to scream from the rooftops, and everything in between is just absolutely perfect, just the way that it is. That feels really complete. Thank you. I really missed you while I was gone. I was holding all of you in that space. You were all in my heart, and I just could not be more blessed and more grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. God bless. Namaste. Namaste.